Hey everyone, welcome to the Bruce Williams channel. Today I'd like to review this Rado Captain Cook high-tech ceramic in the plasma and blue color configuration. Now the plasma, I'd like to read a little bit from Rado's website to help illustrate how different this is from standard black or white ceramic that they are very well known for. And historically, Rado has really been a leader, a brand leader when it comes to the use of ceramics in their watches. But plasma high-tech ceramic, quoting again from their website, gas is activated at 20,000 degrees Celsius, raise the overall temperature of the base white ceramic. So this plasma starts off life as white ceramic. It raises the temperature of the white ceramic to 900 degrees Celsius, which is very, very high. And that transforms the overall color to this plasma, this dark gunmetal shade, but it doesn't add any metal in that process. So the process definitely does change the chemical composition, but it does not alter the hardness, the scratch resistance, the lightweight nature, and the hypoallergenic properties of the base white ceramic. So it's really cool. It carries a little bit more of a premium over the black and over the white, but I think the look is great. It almost has the appearance of being like dark titanium from a distance. But then when you get up close, you notice the matte and you notice the high polish and you notice it's a little bit darker in overall hue. And here's the best part. It is lightweight, but it is nearly impossible to scratch, to mar, or mark. So it makes an incredibly practical daily wear or daily driver that will look fantastic, 10 years from now. Whereas a standard stainless steel watch or titanium watch, you're going to see the little marks and the flea bites, the scratches, and all of that. That does have its charm, I think. I know there are some vintage lovers that watch my content, but the idea of unchangingness when it comes to the presentation over a long period of time, I think that's pretty impressive. Rado does a great job of blending the vintage, the aesthetic. This debut, this design of the Captain Cook came out in 1962. So they blend that with ultra modern materials and processes, and they just blast this into the 21st century, the 2020s. And I think that's really impressive. So let's take a look at the dial here. This is another selling point or feature in my opinion. We don't have a standard metallic dial. You guys can see here, we have a domed sapphire crystal, a sapphire dial that has a little bit of a tint to it. It's blacked out. So in some lights, you can kind of see a hint of the movement beyond, but mostly it looks black. It has good contrast with these applied markers. And then in other lights, you really see through that dome ceramic and you can see the micro perlage work. You can see the escapement. You can see the balance. And how poetic is this, right? Let's look at the dial. You guys can see above the signature of Rado, we have the classic rotating anchor, which Rado places on all of their automatic watches. Anytime you see this rotating anchor, it signifies that it's powered by a rotor. You don't have to hand wind it. It's not a battery powered movement. And I think it's poetic that rotating anchor is just above the balance, oscillating the heartbeat really of the movement. I think that's beautiful. And then when you look at the execution, you guys can see Rado, Captain Cook, the water resistance designation is all done in a dimensional white printing that has good contrast. And I love the fact that Captain Cook is the retro stylized font. So again, blending the original, the retro, the vintage with a thoroughly modern execution that's a little bit loud and proud and in your face and eye-catching, noticeable when it comes to the size and when it comes to the light play. Now let's talk about fit. My wrists are 7.25 inches in circumference, and I can definitely get away with this larger 43 millimeter diameter size. But I know some of you, this might be a bit dominant on wrists, so I would encourage you to try it out at an authorized dealer and make sure it will work for you because of one thing, and let's highlight that right now. It's the lug to lug. So 49.5 is the lug to lug, not on the bracelet, which is a very manageable size, sub 50 millimeter. But because of these end links with the protruding center portion of the end link, it makes the effective lug-to-lug nominal dimension 57.2, which I know is going to be a deal breaker for some of you. So I think, again, you've got to try it on. I can get away with it with my larger wrist size, but not everybody is going to be able to wear this on the bracelet. The overall height is 15 millimeter, and then a good 2.1 millimeter of that overall height is the domed sapphire crystal. So this does wear a little bit thinner than the dimensions would indicate. This is right around 12.9 if you're not measuring the crystal. We have a 21 millimeter lug width with a 3 millimeter taper on this ceramic bracelet to 19 at the clasp. And let me operate the clasp for you here. If you've never seen a Rado clasp, this is a sequential butterfly deployant. And the underside, the inner portion is fashioned out of titanium. And to access that, you compress the function pushers on the signature side, and that opens the longer portion of the butterfly. And then you have a friction fit smaller wing of the butterfly here that is held together with a ceramic ball bearing on one side. And so it's really nice to see that it's comfortable, it's thin, it's lightweight, and I like the way it looks when it's closed on wrist. I think it has a good flow to it. It's not too thick like some other divers suffer from kind of thick and bulky clasps. The overall weight of the watch on the ceramic bracelet is 157 grams. So it is going to be lighter than your stainless steel watches, lighter than my Submariner, but it's not going to be paper light like you would find on, say, a titanium dive watch. And so it definitely has the right amount of presence and light play, but again, it might be just a bit too big and too dominant for your wrist, depending on how long of a lug-to-lug you can do and if you're wearing this on a bracelet or on the rubber strap. Now let's talk about the movement briefly. This is the R734. So essentially, this is a 2824-2 base from ETA that has been upgraded and modified. So we have a Nivicron hairspring. It's going to be anti-magnetic, more so than a standard hairspring that you would find in a base 2824. This will have 80 hours of power reserve. We have a free sprung balance, a beat rate of 21,600 beats per hour. And then this particular movement, this variation, is positionally adjusted in 5 separate positions, which is nice. It's very well dialed in, and I'm getting +1 seconds per day on this particular model in the week that I've had this on loan for review. Now let's hit the tactile elements here, and then we'll wrap up the video. I'll start with the lume shot. We have BGW9 lume from Superluminova. I would say this is not quite as potent as a comparable Seiko with Lumabrite, but this does have good longevity, a pleasant cyan tone, and I would say it's about on par with my Rolex Submariner. Nothing that I'm going to complain about, and I do like that big, broad hour hand. I think, seeing the time at a glance, whether you're in natural light or low light, presents zero issues as a consumer. Now, here is one of my favorite elements. I love a good dive watch, and I think the most important element of a dive watch is the rotating bezel. So this has the best bezel action that I've experienced, let's say $4,000. I think the Tudor Black Bay is about the best at that price. And then this one is right up there with the Tudor. It's really good. So let me be quiet and let you guys get a good sense of how this sounds and how this feels. So zero amount of backplay. I like the amount of torque needed to make the positional changes here with the 120 positions. And then we have a great amount of grip on the enlarged coin edging for the teeth. And just overall, the look, the feel, the mechanical feel, this is really, really satisfying as a dive watch fan, as a watch enthusiast. So let's kind of sum up this watch real quick. I love the light play. I love the practicality of the plasma ceramic here, the high-tech ceramic. Very difficult to scratch. Great movement, very well dialed in, good amount of power reserve fun dial details, from the printing to the domed tinted sapphire dial to the cantilever applied markers, the blue ring there around the circumference of the dial. I like the details. I like the light play. I like the wrist presence. The only thing I think could be improved is that lug-to-lug dimension on the bracelet. I think it's just too dominant. So I would suggest to Rado to get rid of that protruding center link and add a smaller center portion to give us another pivot here, another place for articulation so the watch can be more manageable and comfortable on smaller wrists. I think that would be an improvement. But overall, this has been a very fun piece, and I would like to thank Rado specifically, this Swatch Group brand, for sending this watch in, lending this watch in for a presentation. I am under no obligation to be favorable, and hopefully you guys feel like I've given this watch a fair shake here and you understand the details and what this watch is all about. I would also like to mention that Rado is absolutely a class act. They have old school manners and just a great amount of courteousness. I always get a handwritten thank you note. They are so responsive when it comes to questions. And so it's just refreshing to see a brand, a big brand, be so concerned about customer service. And so I'd like to thank them. Fiorella, if you're watching this, shout out. You've been great to work with. Guys, thank you for watching today. Please reach out with any specific questions. There'll be a link to Rado's website in the description of this video. Thank you again for watching, and I'll see you real soon.